Hello everybody, this is Dr. Ritin Kumar, Assistant Professor, Department of Physics, AJ Institute of Engineering and Technology, Mangaluru. Dear students, today let us discuss a topic on quantum mechanics which is included in Module 4. So first of all, let us see what is wave function. See, in quantum mechanics, it is a postulated that there exists a function determined by the physical situation. The function is called as wave function. It is also postulated to contain all possible informations about the system, hence it is also called as state function. So the wave function may vary with respect to both the position coordinates of the physical system and time. It is then called as total wave function. Generally, it is represented by a capital form of Greek letter pronounced as psi. Okay, so if the wave function has variation only with the position, space, and not with the time, it is represented by lower Greek letter psi. Okay, so what is this wave function? So the quantity whose variation takes up matter waves is called as wave function. So this wave function is actually the probability of finding the particle in space. So it is a function which tells you where is the particle in space. It is represented by an mathematical equation, or simply it is called as a function called as wave function. So you may see it is generally represented as psi. So this wave function accounts for the wave-like properties of the particle and contains all possible information about the state of the system. For example, you know that the particle, we know according to Louis de Broglie, whenever the particle travels, it travels in the form of a wave. So if this is a particle, so here is a particle, it travels in the form of a wave. So that is called as de Broglie waves. So wave function, so this wave function accounts for the movement of the particle which is traveling in the form of a wave like this. So contains all the possible information about the state of the system. For example, after some time t, say 10 second, so where is the particle? You can see the particle, we can find the particle at one particular instant of time. So like that, it contains all the information about the state. So wave function may vary with respect to the position coordinate of the physical system and time. Such a wave function, as I told, it can be called as total wave function, and generally it is represented by capital Greek letter xi. Okay, so that xi is given by a, that is represented by the equation. You can see this equation, xi equal to a e to the power I kx minus omega t. What is a? A is a constant, and what is omega? Omega is called as angular frequency of the wave. And t is the time taken. So you can see the wave function which is advancing, which is traveling in the form of a wave. Here we can find where is the particle after say some instant t. Next, let us see what are the characteristics of the wave. What are the characteristics of this wave function? So in matter waves, the quantity that varies periodically is known as wave function xi. So as we discussed, it is represented by the wave function xi. So next proper characteristic is the wave function xi is complex quantity. That means it includes both real and imaginary term. So I repeat again. So dear students, just remember what is this wave function. Wave function means it is an equation which tells you where is the particle, or which tells you probability of finding the particle. For example, say let us tell a student name X. So he started moving out of the class. Okay, so after some time t, say half an hour, where is the student X? So what we have to do, we have to apply a wave function for the student, and after some time, say t is equal to say half an hour, so we can find where is a student. So that is actually the physical analogy of this wave function. Wave function means it is a probability of finding the particle in a space. So this wave function may be a complex function, or as you can see it is maybe a complex function, or it may be some is actually a complex function that includes a real and imaginary term. So if wave function is real, then it is very easy to determine the particle. For example, let us tell that xi equal to 0. So now xi equal to 0, it indicates that particle is absent. So it tells that particle is absent. So suppose if you get xi equal to 1, it tells you that particle is present. So wave function may be complex or real. So most of the cases it is a complex function. If suppose it is a real function, then it is very easy to determine the particle. Xi equal to 0, xi equal to 1. Xi equal to 0 indicates that the particle is absent. Okay, if xi equal to 1 indicates that the particle is present. So next, sometimes what happens, or most of the time, this xi is a complex quantity. This xi is always a complex quantity. So it is very difficult to judge whether the particle is present or not. As I told, this wave function is generally a complex quantity. If suppose it is a complex quantity, then it is very difficult to analyze the particle, okay, whether it is present or not. So in such cases, what we do is we go with the probability density. What is this probability density? Probability density is you take the wave function. So here you can take this wave function xi, this xi, and then you take xi into xi star, you do xi into xi star. So this xi square is, that is nothing but xi into xi star, where xi star is called as complex conjugate of xi. So if you multiply and afterwards you will get a real quantity, like the answer may be 0, or it may be equal to 1, or it may be equal to 0.5, etc. Suppose if you get xi star equal to 0, that indicates that the particle is absent. Suppose if you get xi star equal to 1, that indicates that particle is present. If you get xi star equal to 0.5, it tells you that the particle is present only 50%. That is 50% the particle may be present, or 50% the particle may be absent. As I told, now the wave function may be a complex function, or it may be a real function. But if it is a real function, as I discussed, xi equal to 0, xi equal to 1, immediately you will come to a conclusion that particle is present, or particle is absent, or particle is 50% present or 25% present in that particular space or not. But most of the time the wave function is a complex function. In complex function, what we have to do, we have to take the complex conjugate xi star, and then we have to multiply. So like this, for example, if xi equal to, if it is if you are getting a complex function like this, a plus ib, see here. So in such cases it is very difficult to judge whether the particle is present or not. So what we do, then we take here xi star. So what is xi star? It is a minus ib. So when you multiply xi into xi star, the answer you will get it as simply like a square plus b square, suppose, or anything, something like that. So if you add that, or if you know the value of a, if you know the value of b, you substitute and get the value of xi square, you will get the value of the probability density. Okay. So next, probability density xi star is probability of finding the volume in a particular space. Generally, in the classical mechanics, the square of the amplitude of the electromagnetic radiation is interpreted as a measurement of radiation intensity. Actually, this suggested that we should make a similar interpretation for de Broglie waves associated with an electron or any particle. Okay, so by that we have to consider a time independent situation of the particle and get the value of xi associated with the particle. Then we take xi square and then we calculate whether the particle is present or not. The same probability density, it is also called as Max Born approximation. So Max Born was a scientist who first time interpreted using this probability density in the year 1926. But the basic function xi has no attributable, or it doesn't have any physical significance. So he can formulated a dense probability density just by multiplying the complex conjugate. Hence it is called as Max Born approximation. The probability of occurrence, if it is real then no problem, if it is complex then go with the probability density and calculate or to determine the probability of finding the particle in a given volume more. So last one, probability corresponds to the certainty of the particle and the particle corresponds to the certainty of not finding the particle. But the particle, the probability 0 corresponds to the certainty of not finding the particle. So this closed triple integral xi star dv, that is equal to 0 if particle is present, then that integration will be equal to 0 is the volume of the element. So here suppose if let us take a particle is here and it is traveling only in x direction. So in such cases what you do, so you take one integral, that is xi star. You now we have to find where is the particle which is moving along x direction. Okay, so you take xi star and integrate dx. Suppose if you do that and if you get the value that is equal to 1, that indicates that particle is present in that direction. Suppose the particle is moving in this way, it went and again moving upward, say y direction. So in such cases, so this equation, instead of writing it as dx, you have to multiply here dx into dy. Suppose if you get that is equal to double integral, that is equal to 1, it indicates particle is present along x and y direction. Similarly, the last one is dz. Suppose here I have written, so dx dy dz triple integral of, if it comes to 1, the particle is present along x, y and z direction, that is nothing but the space. Okay, so you can see here a picture of an a composite where we are finding the particle. So you can see that the particle is present here in this tip. So particle is present here, so particle is present here, so particle is present here. So this is a three-dimensional space, x, y and z, and now we are finding the probability of the particle where it is present. So at the peaks the particle are present. In this way probability tells you whether the particle is present or not. So not only that one, if suppose it comes to this answer comes to be 0, then it indicates that the particle is absent. Suppose sometimes what happens, the answer may be equal to infinity, it tells you that particle is present at 2 points at the same time. So it is not having any physical significance. You cannot have a particle at the same time situated different position. So that doesn't have any physical significance. Okay. Next one, normalization. So what is this normalization? See, for example, as we discussed the probability density, xi star xi, that is equal to 1 or integral of triple integral of xi star dv, that is dv is nothing but dy dx into dy into dz, that is equal to 1. So here if it comes to be 1, for example, so like this, if it comes to be 1, so then this function is known as this xi. We are calling this xi as normalized. This is a normalized function. Normalized function. So here xi is a wave function associated with, you can see that xi is a wave function associated with the particle. The probability of finding the particle in the volume dv is xi square dv. Since the particle is present somewhere in a particular region, integral of xi square dv over all the space must be finite, and if the particle is certainly to be found, the certain region of the space can be written as minus infinity to infinity xi square dv, that is equal to 1. Now dear students, while taking the interval, see here we have written it is minus infinity to plus infinity. See, this is something like a bird started its flight. We don't know from where it started. So I am standing in a building and I am looking at the bird. I don't know from where the bird started. I don't know the way, where the bird goes and ends. So in such cases, I can take the origin of the bird as minus infinity. I don't know where the bird goes and sits. The destiny of the bird, we can take it as plus infinity. So within this particular spot, so the bird started its flight. I am now looking at the bird. So within one small space, now I have to find where is the bird. In such cases, I can take the integral from plus minus infinity to plus infinity in the volume xi square into dv. And if I get the answer that is equal to 1, then it tells you that the bird is present in that volume dv, in that space volume dv. So now what is that wave function called? Especially the wave function xi is called as normalized wave function. Suppose in the same thing, if this integral, if you are getting the answer as 0, then xi is not called as normalized function. Suppose if you get it as 1, then only xi is called as normalized wave function. Okay. Next one, properties of wave function. So what are the properties of wave function? First one, wave function is single valued. The wave function is single valued, and the wave function is single valued everywhere. There should be only one probability of finding the particle to be in space located at a specific time. So this is one property. The wave function is single valued everywhere. There should be only one probability for the particle to be located at a specific time. What is the single valued? Now what is xi? Xi is actually an equation which you are writing for a particle, and next you are trying to find where is the particle. To determine probability of the presence of the particle, you are writing xi. See, you are not, after some time, if you want to find where is the particle, then what you will do? You will solve the value of xi. Okay, once you solve the values of xi, for example, if it is a complex number, you take xi star and then you multiply xi star. If it is moving along x and y direction, then you do like this. You go with the double integral. So double integral xi star, and then you go with dx dy, and you will find the solution. Suppose if you get the answer as like this, just like in quadratic equation, this value of this one is equal to 0 or it is equal to 1, such like quadratic equation x is equal to 0 or x equal to 1. So in such cases it is very difficult, it's a dilemma, right? So 0 indicates that the particle is absent, 1 indicates that the particle is present. Now what to do? So this is a very unfamiliar thing. So we have to avoid, when you write a wave function for a particle, says is xi, that xi should be a single valued everywhere. Whatever, if you solve this one, you should get the answer as that is equal to 1 or that is equal to 0.5 or that is equal to 0.25, like that. So it should be a single valued function. So from that you can come to a conclusion that 25% the particle is present, 50% the particle is present, like that. It should not give two answers like 0 and 1. So that is the first property. Xi is a single valued everywhere. There should be only one. There should be only one probability of the particle located in a specific time. So xi must be finite everywhere. Xi must be finite everywhere. What is this finite? Xi must be finite everywhere in the sense it should not be an infinite, like while you are writing the equation for xi, something like if you are writing e to the power I, if you are writing e to the power I, something like kx square plus etc etc etc, it should not be like an uncontinuous continuous kind of equation. It should be an finite equation, something like a e to the power I kx over, only that. So whatever you write the equation for a particle, it should be an finite everywhere. It should not be a finite anywhere, and it signifies a large probability of finding the particle in a single location. Actually, so it should be finite. However, the wave function becomes unacceptable in such cases if it is not finite. Okay. So next one. Xi anyways is, and its first derivative with respect to its variable must be continuous, single valued everywhere. Not only that one, even its a first derivative, the function say f of x. So sometimes what happens, it stops at one point and again continues at another point b, which is not possible, which is not acceptable. Xi is should be an continuous function. So first derivative should be an also an continuous function. Okay, next one, for bound state xi must vanish at infinity. If xi is a complex function, then xi star must vanish at infinity. Same thing I have discussed earlier. If xi is a real number, it vanishes at infinity anyways. If xi is a complex number, then you go with probability density xi star, which vanishes at infinity. Okay, which vanishes at infinity. So you can see here the max Born approximation here, that is placed for restriction of an acceptable wave function. So how the wave function should be, as I told discuss, it should be a continuous function, it should have a continuous slope, it should be a single valued, and it should be a square integrable. So same thing, something like this. If it is a continuous function, say here you can see it is a continuous function like this, it goes on with respect to x. Okay, so here it is not continuous. You can see that there is an cut here. Xi continues up to the interval t, after that it is continuous, again it is continuing. So this is not acceptable. And slope discontinuous, it should not be like this. And not a single valued, not a single valued means you can see here two values. So if you take at one point, so here you can see here or here you can see two wave functions here, xi is equal to 0, or even you can see here in this place, so 2 points here. So like this also you can analyze. So xi comes to be 0.5 or 0.25 like that. So infinite, you can see that infinite range, so it is not acceptable. So these kind of functions are not acceptable. So when you are writing a wave function, it should be a single valued function, it should be a finite function, its first derivative with respect to other variables are continuous everywhere. For bounded states, xi vanishes at infinity. If it is a complex function, xi star must vanish at infinity. Next, eigenfunctions, or people call it as an eigenfunctions. So what is this? We can define this eigenfunction as like this. Eigenfunctions are those functions of quantum mechanics which possess the properties that they are single valued and finite everywhere, and also their first derivative with respect to their variables are continuous everywhere. The quantum mechanics gives rules for extracting the information of xi to predict the results of measurements. So the rule consists of certain mathematical operations which are to be performed on xi is designated, and the specific operations are needed to perform with respect to through which it is known as something called as a operator. So for example, operator, so momentum operator, h by 2 pi I dou by dou t. So you can say energy operator, h square by 8 pi square m del square by or dou square by dou t square. So this is called as an eigenfunction. So next one, eigenvalues. So what is this eigenvalue? So eigenvalues is once the eigenfunctions are known, actually the quantum mechanical measurements could be used to evaluate the physical observables such as like energy, in which case each of the eigenfunction provides one energy value. Since there is only one restricted set of eigenfunctions, there is also restricted set of all energy values. But all eigenfunctions when operated by the operators, as I told, like momentum operator, energy operator, may not be give a proper result and value for the physical observable, but it is postulated in quantum mechanics that the only possible values that can be observed of a physical quantity like angular momentum energy of a system are the values called as lambda. It is an operator equations. So actually the value of observable such as energy momentum on which Schrodinger equation can be solved actually called as eigenvalues. Okay, so eigenfunctions so should be operated on its on it produced back the wave function multiplied by a constant value lambda for a physical for which the Schrodinger equation can be solved are called as eigenvalues. So for example, if you see this operator, so here a cap into xi, that is equal to lambda xi. So what is this A? A is an operator for a physical quantity, and here xi is an eigenfunction. Okay. So the eigenfunction, for example, xi is an eigenfunction. For example, you can have xi is equal to e to the power something like kx, etc. Okay, anything. So like this, it's an eigenfunction. It's an eigenfunction. So the operator operating on it produces the back function multiplied by a constant, say lambda here. Such values obtained by the physical observables are called as eigenvalues. If it is an energy operator operating on xi, then they are called as energy eigenvalues. Okay, if it is a momentum operator that operates on xi, then it is called as momentum energy eigenvalues, etc. So you can see, as I told, dou by dou x e to the power ax as e to the power ax or kx, anything. You can see here energy eigenfunction. This energy eigenfunction also tells you the probability of finding the particle. You can see that the particle is present here, so the particle is present here, and you can see the particle is present here, etc. Okay. Next one, very important one, what we have to discuss is time independent Schrodinger's wave equation. So very important one. So now let us consider a particle moving freely in a positive x direction in a stationary potential field. The wavelength of an associated de Broglie wave is given by lambda is equal to h by p. So this is according to Louis de Broglie equation. So lambda is equal to h by p, where lambda is a de Broglie wavelength, h is the Planck's constant, and p is the momentum of the freely moving particle. Okay, so p, and p is a linear momentum. P when calculated by using the expression m into v. What is m? M is the mass of the particle and v is the velocity of the particle. So the de Broglie waves is associated with such a particle can be represented as, so this is one way of representing. Another way of representing the progressive wave is given by an expression as xi is equal to a e to the power I kx minus omega t. So here what is this a? A is called as a constant. A is called as constant, and and omega is called as angular frequency of the wave. And what is this xi? Xi is called as total wave function. So for a particle moving in a stationary field, for a freely moving particle, okay, in a stationary field, let us differentiate this xi. So let us differentiate this xi with respect to, so let us differentiate with the xi this with respect to x. So let us see what will happen. So differentiating 1 with respect to x will give you, so it is d xi by dx is equal to a e to the power I kx minus omega t. Differential of e to the power x is e to the power x itself, so like that it is. So a is comes out of the bracket, e to the power I kx minus omega t is e to the power I kx minus omega t into this is omega t, anyway it differentiating with respect to that becomes 0. It is actually I into kx. So ik comes out, it's dx by dx, that is equal to 1. So d xi by dx is equal to a e to the power I kx minus omega t into I into k. Again differentiating the above expression with respect to 1, we have to twice differentiate that xi. So the expression comes to be d square xi by dx square equal to a e to the power I kx minus omega t into I k square. or d square xi by dx square is equal to minus k square into xi. So here, so in this expression, so this can be written as, so here let us write this I. What is this I? I is equal to square root of minus 1. So what is this I square? I square is equal to minus 1. So here what happens is minus comes out. So k square, you can keep it out, k square, this one I am speaking. So what is the remaining one? Remaining one is a e to the power I. It is kx minus omega t. Omega t. So this is nothing but our xi. We have considered this one as xi. Let us consider xi equal to 8. So this will be xi. So the expression can be written as k square into xi. As let us take it as equation 2. But what is k? K is called as a wave number and it is given by 2 pi by lambda. So let us substitute in equation 2. So the expression becomes, so so let us substitute in this one. So it is k square. So it is 4 pi square xi divided by lambda square. Okay. Or just rearrange the term. So 1 by lambda square, you keep it as it is. So here it is like this, 1 by lambda square. Let us keep it as it is. So what happens? This goes to the denominator. So this is minus 1 by, it is 4 pi square xi. So it is d square xi by dx square. D square xi by dx square. Okay. So continuing further, let V be the potential energy of the particle which depends on the position of the particle in the field. Then total energy E of the particle, we know for a particle which is moving freely, the total energy of the particle is a combination of kinetic energy plus potential energy. So in this extent and in this current scenario, let us take E is the total energy. So total energy E is equal to minus h square 8 pi square m xi d square xi by dx square plus V. Let V be the potential energy. For a and let us take this V to the other end. So here it is d square xi by dx square equal to minus 8 pi square m by h square E minus V into xi, or that is d square xi by dx square plus 8 pi square m h square E minus xi is 0. That is equal to E is called as a time independent Schrodinger's one dimension wave equation. So dear students, you have to remember this equation, very important equation. So it is d square xi by dx square plus 8 pi square m by h square, it is E minus V, that is equal to 0. That is equal to 0. So you can see that is d square xi by dx square. So here, so it is there is no term called as t, hence it is called as a time independent. It means that the wave is advancing along x direction. So this is called as Schrodinger's one dimension wave equation. In such cases, suppose if it is moving along 3 dimension, then so it should be here. So d square xi by dx square, d square xi by dy square, d square xi by dz square plus 8 pi square m h square E minus V is equal to 0. So the partially it moves along x-axis, partially it moves along y-axis, partially it moves along z-axis. Okay. So this is called as Schrodinger's 3-dimension wave equation. So you can see this equation very clearly, that d square xi by dx square one dimension 8 pi square m E minus V into xi equal to 0. The second derivative with respect to x is d square xi by dx square, that is a position, plus 8 pi square m by h square. E is actually called as total energy and V is called as potential energy and xi is called as total wave function. And position, it is moving along x direction. So here x is called as a position. So most probable position. So you can see from this one, most probable position here. So most probable position where you can find the particle is this particular position. Okay. So this is actually the main application of this Schrodinger's wave equation. So why we require this Schrodinger's wave equation? The Schrodinger's wave equation is to write the wave function for a particle. As I told, for example, a particle is moving. So how to write the wave equation xi for that particle? To write the wave function xi for that particle, one should know the basic Schrodinger's wave equation. If one knows the basic Schrodinger's wave equation, then he can determine where is the particle, etc. So next one, applications of Schrodinger's wave equation. So what is the application? So energy eigenvalues for a particle in one dimension infinite potential well or particle in a box. So now let us consider a particle. So now let us consider a particle in an infinite height potential well. So now let us consider a particle here. So there is a particle here which is inside an infinite height potential well. The particle can the width of the well. So width of the well is written as x equal to L. Okay, and the height of the well is infinity. It is given as infinity. That means the particle cannot come out of the well. It is trapped inside the well because height of the well is infinite. So what kind of particle we are considering here? So we are considering a particle in such a way that when the particle goes to and fro motion, when the particle goes and hits the wall of the well here, the velocity of the particle does not decrease, or energy of the particle will not decrease. Again it returns back, goes and hits this wall. So again the energy of the particle won't decrease. So we are considering such a particle in such a way that when the particle collides with the wall of the well, the energy of the particle does not decreases. So or else you can consider a particle in a box, something like this, a particle inside a box. So even you can take, so the same thing you can have the particle inside an infinite height potential well or particle inside an box. Both means the same. Okay. So such a particle we are considering. So now let us write the boundary condition for the particle. What is this boundary condition for the particle? So v equal to 0 for x less than or less than equal to L or v equal to infinity for x greater than equal to infinity or x equal to 0, or you can write even in this way also xi. See here xi equal to 0, xi equal to 0. So xi equal to 0 for x less than or equal to 0. So here there is no particle. So we can write here what about xi? Xi will be equal to z because particle is inside the well. So it is here. So particle cannot be here. So we can write the boundary condition as xi equal to 0, x less than or equal to 0. Or we can write like this, xi equal to 0 or x greater than or equal to L. So here also, here the particle, what about xi? Xi equal to 0 because particle is inside the well, so it cannot come outside. So you can write the boundary condition as, you can write like this, or very simple way you can write in this way also. Xi equal to 0, x less than or equal to 0. Even x cannot be equal to 0 also because particle are not found on the wall. So it is strictly less than or equal to 0. Xi equal to 0 for x greater than or equal to L. So there also you cannot find the particle. So then where to find the particle? Then particle is in between x equal to 0 and x equal to L. Okay. Now let us, our main aim is to determine the wave equation for the particle inside an infinite height potential well. Okay. So now let us apply Schrodinger's wave equation. So the particle is moving only to and fro motion. That means our particle is traveling only in x direction. So let us take the expression as d square xi by dx square plus 8 pi square m by h square e minus v into xi equal to 0. So this is an basic Schrodinger's wave equation. So outside the well, the equation 1 becomes, so it is a freely moving particle, as I told. It doesn't comes to rest. So what about the potential energy? Potential energy, some people will take v is equal to infinity outside the well, or even you can take like this also. Potential energy of the particle v equal to 0 also. Both means the same, v equal to 0 or v equal to infinity. In such cases, the expression can be written as d square xi by dx square plus 8 pi square m by h square e xi equal to 0. So now let us take this term. So it is very difficult to solve. Each time we have to take 8 pi square m by h square e, 8 pi square m h square e. So instead of that, now let us take this particular constant as k square. So 8 pi square m by 8 pi square m e by h square as k square. So then it is very easy to write the expression as d square xi by dx square plus k square xi equal to 0. But what is k square? That is a k square is nothing but 8 pi square m by h square into e. So now we can see that this is an second order differential wave equation. Okay, so any second order differential wave equation of the kind d square xi by dx square plus k square xi equal to 0 will have a solution as xi equal to a sin kx plus b cos kx. So this is a general solution. So this is a general solution for such kind of equation. Any equation of this kind will have a solution as xi equal to a sin kx plus b cos kx. Even you can write like this, a cos kx plus a sin kx, where a and b are simply called as a constant. So our main now what is this xi? Xi is nothing but a wave function for a particle inside an infinite height a potential well. For this particle, the value of xi equal to this much. It is equal to this much. Okay, a sin kx plus b cos kx. But the problem here is, what is this a and b? A and b are constant, that we have to evaluate because it is confined in a particular boundary. So this xi is not free. It is situated inside a boundary, like we have taken here x equal to 0 till x equal to L. So it is restricted inside a boundary, and even it cannot come outside the well. So it is restricted inside this boundary. So that we have to apply for this xi equal to a sin kx plus b cos kx. Okay. So let us take the first boundary condition as I discussed. At x equal to 0, xi equal to 0. So strictly we have taken x less than or equal to 0, xi equal to 0. So forget about since it x equal to 0, it is understood for beyond x, xi will be equal to 0. So equation, when you substitute in equation 4, that is in the general solution, we get 0 equal to a sin 0 plus b cos 0. Thus anyways b from this one, it is very clear that sin 0 is 0, so this answer will be 0. Cos 0 equal to 1, so that is actually b into 1, so that is equal to 0. Anyways we will get b equal to 0. So when I apply the second boundary condition, when x equal to L, xi equal to 0, so this side x is greater than L or xi equal to 0. So that is 0 equal to a sin kl plus b cos kl. But anyways b equal to 0, so sin kl equal to 0. But anyways b we got it as 0 here. So b we got it as 0. When you substitute here, so this 0 equal to a sin kl or a sin kl equal to 0. So here this leads to two condition now. Either a equal to 0 or we will get like this, sin kl equal to 0. Either a equal to 0 or sin kl equal to 0. See what happens if you take a equal to 0. Already our b is 0, and if I take a is equal to 0, what happens is it tells that particle is absent, then xi reduces to 0. So it tells that particle is absent, but actually particle is not absent, particle is present inside the well. So we cannot take a equal to 0. Then what we have to take? So a is not equal to 0, hence sin kl should be equal to 0. So when sin kl equal to 0, what is the value of kl? Kl is equal to n pi. And what is k? You take L to the denominator, so k is equal to n pi divided by L. Okay, so now when you substitute in equation 4, xi n is equal to, so it is a sin, instead of k we can write it as n pi by L into x. So this is the permitted solution or wave function for a particle inside an infinite height potential well. But still look at the constant a. So let us see this constant a. So anyways we got b is equal to 0, that is gone. But what about our a? Still a is unknown. So again we have to determine the value of a. But can you tell me what kind of this function xi n? This function is xi n is a normalized wave function, is it right? Why? Because particle is present. So the value of that one xi star, if you take, that should come to be equal to 1. So here xi n is specially called as normalized wave function, since we already know that the particle is present inside the infinite height potential well or particle inside a box. So since Zn is a normalized wave function, now let us apply normalization. So 0 to L, the particle is present in between the range of 0 to L. So 0 to L, Zn square dx equal to 1, or 0 to L. So what is the value of Zn? Zn we got it as A sine n pi by L x whole square into dx equal to 0. So solve this one, 0 to L. So here it is a square sine square pi n pi by L dx equal to 0. Further, if you solve, a square goes out, so that is half 0 to L dx minus half 0 to L cos 2n pi by L into dx, that is equal to 1. But we know that sine to theta can be written as sine to theta is equal to 1 by 2 cos 2 theta. So this is applied here. So next, so a square is equal to x, after doing the performing the integration, x minus L by 2n pi sine 2n pi L x from 0 to L is the integration limit, that is equal to 1. Okay. So or that is a square is equal a square into L by 2, that is equal to 1, or a is equal to square root of 2 by L. So now we got the answer of a is equal to square root of 2 by L. So what is xi n now? Xi n is equal to square root of 2 by L sine n pi L by L into x, n pi by L into x. Okay, so this is actually called as a wave function for a particle inside an infinite height potential well. Okay, and in particular it is also called as normalized wave function. As I told, it is also called as normalized wave function. Why? Because the particle is present inside the well. So this is a very important equation. Xi is equal to square root of 2 by L sine n pi x by L. Okay. So next question is how to determine the eigenfunction. So from the equation 6, it is an eigenfunction. So how to get the eigenvalue? We already stated in the first itself. We have taken k square is equal to 8 pi square m by h square. So here we have taken in the beginning itself, what is this k square? We have taken the beginning itself, what is this k square? K square is equal to, we have taken, it is 8 pi square m e by h square. So this we have taken, and when we are solving sine kl, that is equal to 0 or kl. So what is the value of k? We also got that the value of k, or simply it is or k square is equal to n pi by L. We got k is equal to n pi by n, or k square is equal to n pi by L into square. So just substitute both are expression for k square. So when you substitute that one, we will get the k square is equal to n pi by L, or we will get here. So if you solve this one, we will get E is equal to, for energy values we have to determine, E is equal to n square h square by 8m L square. So for a free particle, V is equal to 0 holds good everywhere. We can extend it for the infinite well, and we can get it for the equation for energy eigenvalues for a particle inside an infinite height. So what is the value of n? N is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So here we can see that the for a particle having a constant energy E, so but confined in a well, so it is restricted energy for certain value. So n is called as a quantum number. The energy value En is called as eigenvalues. the lowest energy values. So the lowest energy values for the particle is called as 0 point energy, or simply it is called as ground state energy. So for example, the electron moving in the first orbit, or that is called as a ground state orbit. So ground state orbit, if the electron is moving in a ground state orbit, we have to take n equal to 1. So in such cases, the energy of that particle is called as ground state energy, or simply it is called a 0 point energy. In such cases, n square h square will be 1 square h square by 8 pi 8 m l square. For an electron moving in first excited state, so n is equal to 2. So it is almost we can tell that it is almost like this. So there is an nucleus and electrons are revolving around the nucleus. Okay, suppose if you are taking this orbit electron, so here it is n equal to 1. So it is called as, the energy of that electron is called a 0 point energy. If you are taking first excited state, that is n equal to 2, that energy is called as E2, that is 4 pi square 4 h square 8 m l square. Suppose if you are taking E3, then it is 9 h square 8 m l square is called as the second excited state, etc. So last one we have to discuss is wave function, probability density, energy levels for a particle inside an infinite height potential well. We already discussed and got the expression as xi equal to square root of 2 by L sin n pi L by x. Okay, so case 1, for n is equal to 1, what happens? For example, we have taken a well, infinite potential well, like this. We have taken an infinite height potential well like this, and now let us put here an electron. So what is this electron? N equal to 1 orbit electron, ground state electron we have taken and put inside the well. We have put inside that electron inside the well. So after some time, where we can find the electron inside the well? So let us take, we know that the wave function for this electron is given by xi is equal to square root of 2 by L, where L is the width of the well, sin pi, n value is equal to 1. It is, so it is pi L, pi divided by L into x is a wave function for this particle. Okay, so here xi1 is equal to 0, for x equal to 0, we will get a maximum x equal to L by 2. So if you put an n equal to 1 orbit electron inside the well, something like that, when you put here n equal to 1 orbit electron inside the well, most of the time you can see that the electron is present here. So at x equal to 0, xi equal to 0, we saw electron is absent. X equal to L, xi equal to 0, we saw electron is absent. So most of the time you can see the electron lying at an interval of L by 2. But same thing we can see in the probability density also. Xi1 square also tells you that electron is present here. So electron is absent at this point and electron is absent at this point. So when you put n is equal to 1 orbit electron inside an infinite height potential well, you can find an electron exactly in the interval L by 2. So similarly, let us take the case 2, second one, for n equal to 2, for first excited state. So for first excited state, so let us take the eigenfunction in the state as xi2. Instead of taking xi1, now let us take xi2. So what is this xi2? Xi2 is square root of 2 by L sin 2 pi x by L. So as I told, now we are considering a well, so like this, a well, and now we are putting an electron of the order n is equal to 2. First excited electron we are taking from the new atom and we are putting inside the well. So where to find the electron? So next, if you see xi2 is equal to 0, for x equal to 0, L by 2 and L, and maximum for L by 4 and 3L by 5. So if you see in the graph, so suppose if you put here n is equal to second order electron inside this one, so you can see electron is absent here anyways in the wall, and electron is absent at the center. So when you put here L by 2, we'll get xi2 is equal to 0. So maximum you can see the electron at an interval of L by 4, or you can find the interval of 3L by 4. But here you can see that we can find the electron at the interval of L by 4, but 3L by 4 is beneath this well, down the well, where there is no electrons can be present beyond this region. So that's why we told at the beginning itself xi wave function does not have any physical significance. The physical significance comes only when we are multiplying that wave function with its complex conjugate and calculating its probability density. Suppose when you calculate the probability density of that same electron, so you can see that electron is absent at x equal to 0, electron is absent at x equal to L by 2, electron is absent at x equal to L. But electrons are present in the region of L by 4 and it is present in the region of 3L by 4. So in these cases electron is present. So when you put n is equal to second or 2 orbit electron inside an infinite height potential well, most of the time you can find the electron in the region of L by 4 or you can find the electron in the region of 3L by 4. Okay, so these are the two places. In the first excited state, particle cannot be observed either at the walls or even at the center. So electron is bound in a one dimension. Now let us discuss one problem. An electron is bound in a one dimension potential well of width 1 angstrom of infinite wall height. Find the energy values in the ground state and first two excited state. This is very simple problem. Just you have to remember the energy eigen equation. So L, the what is the width? Well, width is given as 1 angstrom. So here it is given as 1 angstrom, potential well of width 1 angstrom. So 1 angstrom, 1 angstrom can be written as 1 into 10 raised to minus 10 meter. So L is equal to 1 angstrom. So energy of the particle in one potential well is given by the expression En is equal to it is n square h square by 8m L square. So n is equal to n square h square by 8m L square. And for ground state n equal to 1, E1 is equal to n square h square by 8m L square. So he has asked you to calculate energy values for in the ground state and also in the first two excited state. I already told for the ground state what is the value of n is equal to 1. So E1 is equal to n square h square by 8m L square. So the value of n is 1 square into 6.625 10 raised to minus 34 square divided by 8 into mass of the electron is 9.1 into 10 to the power minus 31 and width of the well is given as 1 angstrom 1 into 10 raised to minus 10 square. So it gives you the value 6.03 into 10 raised to minus 18 joule. So it is minus 18 joule. So how to convert it to an electron volt? Just you divide this value by 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19. You divide this value by 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19. So it gets converted into electron volt as J is equal to 37.6 electron volt. So for first excited state, the value of n is equal to 2 and same type you calculate the values. E2 you will get the values as 150.5 electron volt and second excited state n is equal to 3, E3 will be equal to 338.7 electron volt. Okay. So next important question is, a quantum particle is confined to one dimension box of width A is in its first excited state. What is the probability of finding the particle over an interval of A by 2 marked symmetrically at the center of the box? So repeat the question. There is a quantum particle confined to a potential box of width A. That means there is a particle which is present in a box of width A is in its first excited state. So he has given a hint that first excited state. So what should be the value of n? N is equal to 2. Very good. So what is the probability of finding the particle over an interval of A by 2 marked symmetrically at the box? So now you mark a box. So something like this. So something like this you take, and here the x equal to 0, and instead of writing it as L, let us write x equal to A. So mark a box symmetrically so that here So this will be a by 4 symmetry. This is a by 4, correct? This will be 3a by 4. 3a by 4. So you have to mark 2 points symmetrically like this, 3a by 4 and 3a by 4. So now we have to find, we know that particle is present in the box. We have to find whether the particle is present in this region, that is between a by 4 and 3a by 4. Something like this. A student is entering the class. We don't know where he goes and sits. Now we have to find out in one particular row whether the student is present or not. Similarly like that, the particle is present in the box. Now whether we have to find out whether a particle is present in the interval a by 4 to 3a by 4. So for that we have to calculate the probability density. The probability of the particle in the region is given by the expression P is equal to xi square into integral of xi square into dx. This is very clear in the diagram. So it is a by 4 to a by 4. So we know that particle is present in this region, particle is present in this box, and in particular we have to find the particle is present in this region or not. So here it is, so whether here it may be present or here it may, because anyways it is present inside the box. In particularly we have to search whether it is present in this particular region. So we have to integrate from a by 4 to 3a by 4. Instead of that, simply if he gives whether the particle is present in the box, then we have to go with an interval 0 to a. Since he has given specifically inside the box the interval is a by 4 to 3a by 4, we have to go with a by 4 to 3a by 4 as an lower and upper integral limit. So let us calculate the probability. So P is equal to a by 4 to 3a by 4 xi square into dx, or P is equal to a by 4 to 3a by 4 a by 2, and we know that xi square is nothing but a by 2 sine square 2 pi by a into dx. And just solve this one. 2 by you just take it out, because sine square 2 pi a is now 1 minus cos 2 pi a by a into dx. So that is P is equal to a by 4 to 3a by 4 dx, or minus P a by 4 to 3a cos pi 4 pi a x into dx, or just solve that one. This one has 1 by 4, 1 by a. It is just solve this one. This is 3a by 4 and a by 4, and cos becomes a sine, that is 4 pi a. It's a sine 4 pi by a into a by 4 pi, that you can do this one, sine 4 pi by a into 1 by 4 by putting the limits. Next, further when you solve, we will get the answer as P is equal to a gets cancelled out finally, and P is equal to 0.5. P is equal to, so the particle is present 50%. The particle is present the 50%. So here, as I discussed in this way, so the particle is present. So particle is present 100% inside the box, and in specifically a by 4 and 3a by 4 within this region, the particle presence is only 50%. 50% there is a chances of finding the particle, and 50% the particle is outside this region, that is from 0 to a by 4, or maybe 3a by 4 to a. So this is how when we can find the probability of finding the particle. Okay, so this is very important problem. Kindly go through it again. So this completes. Thank you.